Hey, what's going on? It's Herogetsu. I'm uh I'm here to make a video about kind of what my goals and intentions are with the game that I'm working on, and then like my future games going forward. Like I just kind of want to really put out what I feel and what I think and try to express it while it's still so early in my, I guess, game dev slash YouTube game dev, whatever this is. But I just really wanted to explain some of those things real fast. Well, not even real fast. Honestly, it's probably going to be a really long video because there's just a lot I want to talk about. Like I want to talk about um I'm gonna start with my original idea for the stamina system that I wanted in my game. Stems from player expression and full player control over whatever special things is going on. Like if you thought that that should be something that you would do, then it should be something that's actually something you can do. An example would be, right, like I have my four states, which is release, recovery, defense, and focus. And each one of them states have a a purpose. But my original idea was to take those four states, but give you even more control over them in like a terms of a percentage amount. Like my original idea was that you would just hold the D-pad. You know what? I'm gonna grab my controller here, unplug it. So you would take this mug right here, the D-pad, and you would hold a button, and it would go up in percentage. Like let's say this was release, right? You would normally start off with 100 in your focus because that's you fully just focusing on recovering your stamina. And there's no point in you spending extra stamina when you just not doing anything. So your normal state would probably be 100% focus on stamina, focus. But let's say you was like, okay, I want to focus more on offense while still focusing on recovery. Then you would be like, okay, I'm going to do a 50-50. So you would hold with this button, the up D pad being released, you would hold this up until the meter that would be on the screen would say from 0 to 50. And you will let go and you'd be like, all right, so now I'm doing half my potential damage, right? But I'm also focusing on recovering stamina still. But then you could be like, you know what? I want to split it even further. And now I'm going to split it to some odd number with defense, and then another odd number for recovery. You would just be pressing these buttons or holding them, I mean, up until you reach that percentage that you wanted your stamina to be focused on. And I thought that was pretty pretty dynamic, and you could like really control like just the things that you wanted to do just with that alone, you know. Like I don't know if you would call them bills, but that's kind of how I think of them in my way. It's like, okay, I am somebody who want to just be full unga bunga, and so I'm gonna just focus on completely using all my stamina and doing as much possible damage as I can and as fast as possible. Or, you know, I want to use, I just want to focus on defense. So my character only relies on defense. And so I put all my percentage into defense. Or, I don't really want to. lose health very often. And if I do, then I want to recover it as fast as possible. So I'm focused more on recovery. Or you could do a split of all those things, just you could be a split of recovery and defense, and then you got some crazy little build possibility where you could just be like, I'm healing and taking damage. Like I'm not taking not a lot of damage. Or if I'm taking damage, then I'm recovering it. Like I'm backed up, I got that. And so that was my original idea with the stamina system. Just with the amount of control that you had over it. And then if you went to that 100%, then that would activate some type of passive or something that makes that ability even stronger than normal. Or another thing I thought about doing back then, or even today, actually, I kind of thought of it today, which is kind of why I wanted to make this video. But like, you know, what if you had like a 49-51 split, right? The one that has the majority of the percentage but automatically have a type of perk bonus because it's got the majority of it. So it's like I don't know what kind of example should use here, but that's it would activate some type of special passive, whether it's let's say your full 100% would be you doing three times your normal base damage, with your normal base damage probably being like 25, like everything being 25%, I imagine, just as a base. But then, you go 100%, you're doing four times the amount of what you could. Because actually, I think I would probably just make your base damage be 0% of whatever your release is. So if you're doing, and these are all fake numbers, but you know, let's say you're doing 10 as your base damage, right? With 0% in release. And then you was like, all right, I'm gonna take it up to 25. Now you're doing two times damage. And then you take it up to freaking 50%. Now you're doing three. And then you take it up to what, 75? And you're doing four. And then just to, really sell it, maybe you do like six times the amount of damage as your base. Or based on what I was really saying, because I kind of got messed up. But you know, you take that majority and your 100% is just three times damage. But, that majority of your release would be like, okay, my base damage makes me do 1% damage. No, the normal is one times damage. But then I go to 51 and it's my majority. I now do 1.5 times my normal damage. So then there's a reason for you to actually use 100% your normal damage or 100% your potential uh release damage. Jesus. But that's kind of that was kind of like my idea. Like I know it seems kind of like messed up from the way I explain it. Um well, with that section anyway. I think the first section was pretty was easily to was able to be understood easily. Jesus. I don't edit these videos either. I'll just throwing stuff out there. Um but then, with that kind of stamina system, it kind of opens up like all kinds of different things in terms of gameplay. Because you could even like all those that I was just talking about was all with me just doing melee damage or something. You know what I mean? But let's talk about magic, like magic systems, right? What if magic was also tied into the same thing? Then now Instead of doing that amount of damage or whatever, just as an example, what if now your spells are elevated because of the amount of stamina or percentage of your stamina is put into it? So, let's say you have a wind attack, right? And base wind attack is like, some small like this. But then, you go up to 25%. And now, it's a little bit bigger. And, it travels a little further or something. And then you take it all the way up to 100%. And now you got like a tornado or something, you know what I mean? So then you got like, oh, yeah, uh, it, you got like all these kind of cool abilities now because of just how much control you have over it. And yeah, sure, you could do something like, oh, I could just tap the button and that would work too. Or I could hold the button and I can charge up the amount of my ability and then it eventually becomes a tornado. And that would work too. That would work too. Uh, but I kind of like the stamina thing a little bit more, or even a combination of them both. You know, like I just think of all these ideas, and I'm still at the current recording of this video. I'm still a solo developer, so I'm like just doing all this stuff by myself, and I'm not like being able to bounce my ideas off of nobody else. These are just my thoughts, but hopefully, right, I can make something close to how I really imagine it, and people could see the potential that those ideas have, and then maybe a AAA developer would be like, "Hey, we should make that like actually a good system. Like, that was the blueprint, but now we can like really clean that up, make it more polished, and make it actually something super cool." And that's kind of why I just want to throw that idea out there, and that's what the intents are behind well all my future games. It's just make a cool system, experiment with it right, and then hopefully somebody who's actually talented and is really you know able to do the things that I dream of, make those things happen. Like with my current skill set, all I could do is probably maybe um make something like 10% of what I imagine, to be honest. Maybe. But the ideas, hopefully they can still come through clear. Now that was my original stamina system, right? What else I was supposed to talk about? Well, I forgot, I've honestly just talked about what my intents are behind my games or my future games. So I guess I could end the video here. I could, and it would be smart if I did, but I think while I'm here, I might as well just talk about like what is my current goal in the game that I'm working on right now? And in my current game, it is a 3D open world platformer. I hope that don't sound crazy, but I'm hoping by doing it this way, right? I can keep the scope really small and manageable for me, for just me, right? Because I can make 3D assets, right? That's where all my strength is. So I'm just focused on building the assets that will make up my game world that you get to explore in. And I really wanted it to be the foundation for all my future games. Not the assets themselves, but the actual systems, the gameplay. All that is supposed to be carried on into my future games. It is the goal of this game. So, the most important thing for me in the game is just how good it feels to move around the environment. If I can't move around in a 3D game, let me clarify, in a 3D game, and if I can't move around good, then the whole game kind of sucks. It hurts quite a bit. But with enough other stuff in the game, then it can balance out. Like God of War, Ragnarok, it's enough movement in the game for it to be full fun the whole way through. But man, would a jump be amazing? Just being able to jump, it would be great. That's kind of funny to me because I also think about The Last of Us Part One, originally called The Last of Us. But in that game, you couldn't jump, and then the second one comes along, and it's like all of a sudden you could jump now. It's like the biggest thing since butter on toast. Uh, but that kind of just opens up the possibilities of exploration. I really really like exploring all over the worlds that these developers spend so much time making, and then we don't have the tools to move around, and it kind of feels like a shame. You know what I mean? What's another series? Dark Soul, the Soulsborne series. Man, it was amazing being able to just jump around in Sekiro and Elden Ring. You know, like yeah, there was a way to kind of jump in Dark Souls 1 through 3 and Bloodborne, but those weren't like what I'm saying, they weren't good jumps. They were terrible. Um, but because they didn't have jumps, they could really control what things you would see around the world and control the pacing of how you explore. But just moving around the environment is so important to me. So I'm really really focused on just making good movement for my first game, and then hopefully, hopefully the movement is as good as I want it to be, and then hopefully that will connect with other players, and you know hopefully that encourage other people to do that too. I'm just trying to keep the scope in, trying to keep the scope in, but as always, there will probably be some scope creep. I'm not gonna lie to you, but that's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's some things I want to experiment with. I have a base idea of what movements I want, but currently the environments that I'm working on, the assets, little the little pieces that will make up the overall world, I'm building them in a way to where they're interesting to hopefully look at, but even more interesting to be like, hey, can I get on top of that? Or can can I use that to get to this, to get to that, to get to this? Like I want to build the world and the assets kind of like a puzzle that you use to get all over the place. And you're like, hopefully, the feeling that you get when exploring is like, I can't believe that really worked. I can't believe I was able to get there with these skills. Like I'm not building no game um like with a specific set of ways to get around. You know what I mean? Like I want you to be able to just kind of figure out your own way of getting through the map. Whether that breaks the game, that's fine. I don't care. You having fun, right? And that's what the goal of a game is, to have fun. You know, if you, well, I will even say that you're breaking the game because you're like finding out little ways to get around the map. Or even if you fall off the map, that's okay too. It just mean that it didn't work. But I'm sure there will be bugs. I'm sure. But, you know, if you have fun traveling, that's all I can ask for. It's really all I can ask for. Um, at least in this game, right? Whether or not I have combat in the game, I keep going back and forth. I would really, really like to experiment with a lot of things that I want in my future games, but I'm like, what I'm saying? Like if I do that, then I might over scope and that piece of gameplay would feel so weak compared to everything else. And does that elevate, my main core? Probably not. Probably not, right? Um, yeah, this is just, man, this is really a ramble. It's really a ramble, but I hope my passion's coming through. Like I really hope that you can feel what I'm trying to get across. Man, I got little ticks. Just making sounds. But yeah, let's see. Is there anything else I could really say here? I mean, I've really covered everything that I kind of want to talk about. Yeah, I think that's cool. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna end it here. But if you did, leave a like, subscribe, leave some comments. Tell me if I'm dumb. Tell me if you think these are good ideas. I genuinely want to know. Like I would really appreciate all feedback. And I'm hoping that I'm able to accomplish the things that I'm setting out to do here, right? I just remembered one more thing. I I am I'm not gonna make none of the games that I make like expensive. You know, it's one of those things I don't want to do. Like AAA games nowadays cost $70. We're $30 away from being $100, and then $70 isn't even the most expensive version of the games in a lot of cases. Most expensive versions might be 100 something dollars, and that's crazy, right? Because for one, we don't even get like physical cases anymore. A lot of cases, a lot of situations, we don't get manuals, which is ridiculous. I used to love opening up manuals when we would buy a game from GameStop, and then we'd be on the ride home. I remember I bought Hobbit, and I was just reading the manual as I went home with my mom and dad and my siblings. Um, but like that's I feel like the consumer isn't getting the amount of the respect that they used to get back then. I feel like I don't want to say game developers, but like maybe the publishers maybe don't don't appreciate the consumers really spending the money that they are on their games anymore, because we lose so much of what that whole experience of a game is. Like if someone plays my game, I want them to know that I sincerely appreciate it. Like I am so happy you decided to even check it out. Whether or not you like it, that's okay. But hopefully you do enjoy it, and hopefully you tell me that you did like it. And if not, then I still want to know, like, what could I have done to make it better? But obviously, I'm saying all that before I even make my first game. But yeah, I promise, as long as I'm a solo developer, right, and I have nobody I have to be responsible for, that I'll keep all my games relatively cheap. I've been throwing around a price in my head, um, between like $5 and $10, maybe at the max. One day at the max, like $15. But honestly, like the way I think of it is, these things are, I don't know if privilege is the right word, but culture shouldn't have a price on it. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for a lot of the things that I experienced growing up, then I wouldn't be the person I am today. And because a lot of those things were easily accessible, I was able to be somebody who fell in love with all kinds of different cultures, whether that's anime or gaming or stuff like that. And I believe that as long as the entry is within reasonable fees, then more people should be able to just enjoy it. I don't want to separate. I don't want to create a gate, you know what I mean? Like yeah, I would appreciate, having money. I would appreciate if one day I become rich from making games, but honestly that's not my goal. I just want people to genuinely have fun. Yeah, so man, this probably sounds so dumb, but I'm gonna still throw this video out there. And if it ages like milk, then from me today, Joseph or Herogetsu, whatever you want to call me, I am so sorry. Like, but I really do just want all my games to be easily accessible. I know $5 in some countries may not be a lot. In some countries, that $5 might be a lot. But I feel like $5 up to, like I said, at the max, like 15, as long as I'm a solo developer, as long as I'm just one person. But this game would probably be $5. Pseudo Regalia was $5 or $7. I feel like that's fair. That's very fair. Especially since I'm only going to be releasing my game digitally. Jesus, I am just talking. But yeah, I'm going to end the video for real this time around here. I really hope the audio comes through clear today. Damn, I just realized that my green screen is just up. Uh, but yeah, like I said, if you liked what I said and you want to see me do what I'm going to do as a developer and I guess a YouTuber, then please subscribe, leave a like, comment. Again, tell me dumb. And I just want you to know that if you have a passion and there's something you want to do, then do it, man. If you want to upload it on YouTube. But whatever you do, you know, if it's something you enjoy, don't call it content because what you do is art, right? And somebody, you may not know who, I may not know who, but they will appreciate what you've put in. And art is in the beauty of the beholder. I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay healthy and stay full. Eat good. I hope to catch you next time.